Hello viewers, 50,000 subscribers. Who would have thought it? Certainly not me. It doesn't seem like that long ago that I was going to bed with a smile on my face because I had like 50 views on a video, so mind-boggling. Anyway, this is a Q&A video and I'm very pleased to say that because we're celebrating, the winner of the best question will get one of these. This is a Samsung portable SSD T5 and the winner will get a 500GB version. So Samsung Memory have very kindly sponsored this video and I've been using the T5 for a while now and I have to say, well, it's incredible. So I took this to Italy for a job that I had there recently, which was a perfect test for a product like this to see how it fit into my workflow because we were moving around a lot, we were living in tight spaces and working to a deadline. And to be honest, it blew my mind. A few reasons. The speed is absolutely blinding. So this can transfer images and videos about 5 times faster than my typical external storages, which is very welcome on a job like this when I'm getting hundreds or even thousands of images and videos every single day. It has a super durable metal body, so I trust it a hell of a lot more than my traditional hard drives out in the field, particularly when it's in my bag going on a plane or I'm lugging it up a mountain or I'm throwing it around a camper van. And last but not least, I mean, look at it. It's smaller than a credit card. And if you've been around this channel for a while, then you'll know that weight or weight saving is a huge deal for me because I like to cover ground quickly to maximize my chances of getting really good photos. So, as I said, one of these is going to be up for grabs for the best question that features in this video. And, well, because of that, I should start answering questions. I'll announce the winner at the end, I think. Okay, questions. By the way, please don't be disappointed if your question doesn't feature. When I announced this on Instagram a few weeks back, I had hundreds of questions come in. A lot of them were on kind of similar kind of themes, so I've just picked kind of an assortment and I'll pick the winner from this. So please don't be disappointed if you didn't feature. Lots of great questions. I couldn't feature them all. We'd be here for hours and well, I don't think anyone really wants that. Okay, question number 1. What are the top 5 words of wisdom you'd give to noobs? Practice, 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 and fish cakes. I'm joking, practice. I don't know of any shortcut to getting good at anything other than just practicing it a lot. Yeah, practice. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Photography, living, personal, etc. It's potentially quite a far-fetched dream that I have, but basically, I would love to be in a position where I only have to take the work that I really want to do at a time that I really want to do it. So if I have a job come up that's perfect sort of job, perfect sort of time, great. If I don't, then I'll surf or I'll mountain bike or I'll knit or I'll learn Japanese or I don't know. So at the moment my business is quite young. So when work comes in, unless I really don't want to do it, typically I take it. And I'd like to be in a position where that's not the case and I'm not making decisions based off money, largely. If you had the opportunity to design a camera, what innovations do you think you'd be pushing for? Ooh, interesting. I reckon I'd try and do away with cameras altogether. And what I mean by that is I would want to build something that you could like integrate into your eyes and you'd have all the information sort of in your eyes and you'd be able to take snapshots with, I don't know, something along those lines. I mean, I love cameras, but cameras get in the way. And there have been a couple of sort of semi-successful goes at making glasses that have got cameras in them and stuff. And I think that's along the kind of lines that I would go down. Because, as I say, I love cameras, but they do just get in the way a bit. How do you stay passionate about photography and don't get burnt out? I don't. I'm not always passionate about photography. A lot of the time, I think, not a lot of the time, but some of the time I think it's boring, mundane, pointless. I really don't want to go out and shoot. And when I have times like that, I just do something else for a couple of days, basically. And normally, the passion and the excitement for going out and getting photos comes back, but it's not a constant, it's not always there. And I think that's probably quite normal. When you're scouting locations, do you figure out the end result on the spot? I wouldn't say the end result. I mean, quite often when I go to locations, I'm thinking about what would be the best time of year to come to this location, what would be the best time of day, what sort of light do I want, do I need any props, is there any kind of car that I'd want to include in this shot, for example? All those kinds of things, and quite often, even when I plan a shot, like right down to the T, I get something that's not quite as good, or I get something better. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for when I go location scouting. What education, previous jobs and key decisions led you to living off of your photography? A few years ago, I went to Spain with Emily. We just went for a few days to lie on a beach. And I read a book, a very popular book, very famous book, called 4 Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, or The 4 Hour Workweek. And I still work like 15 times more than that. 15, 16, yeah, something like that. I don't work 4 hours a week, but that book was a huge eye-opener in terms of business development and moulding a working life and a career that wasn't kind of conventional, that didn't obey the sort of 9 to 5 working for someone else type thing. And even though I don't kind of employ a lot of the things which are talked about in that book, it was a real help in kind of broadening my horizons as to what was possible within a professional life. And yeah, that kind of got me thinking about lots and lots of different things that I wouldn't have thought if I hadn't have read that book, I don't think. So yeah, that was a bit of a turning point reading that book. Hobby into a job, was the transition difficult? Yes, it was. It was scary, and I probably did it in the least scary way possible, in that when I decided to be a photographer, I basically just moved back in with mum and dad for sort of 8 or 9 months, which meant that I had a roof over my head, I had meals, all for a much, much more minimal cost than I would have if I was still trying to stand on my own 2 feet over that period. So that was a big, big help financially. If you can find a way to solve the financial thing, that is undoubtedly one of the biggest barriers to trying to carve out a bit of time to build up any kind of business. So that was a huge help. The other thing that I would say, which was really, really scary, and still is to some extent, is when you're employed in a company and you have a normal job, if you come across a problem, you have lots of people to go and talk to about that problem. So you have a boss, you might have a boss's boss, you might have loads of different teams who have experts in lots of different fields. You can basically walk to people or email people or call people really quickly, and you can often get answers to your problems quite quickly. That's a little bit more difficult when you're self-employed. You have to kind of search maybe a network of friends or maybe a new person that you've never spoken to before to try and help you get answers. And quite often you can kind of feel like you're on your own with problems, and that's a bit daunting. That's one of the things I've found most difficult about being self-employed. But yes, the transition was difficult. In my experience, it's been completely worth it. And like I said, I had it really easy. I know that many people don't have the option of just being able to move in with someone else and not be paying full rent and things like that. So I got really lucky, and it was still scary. So yeah. How much money should I ask for when I'm starting photo shoots? 2 things. It's really tempting to not charge much to make sure that you get the job. If you're going to do that, just make sure it's an amount of money that you're actually happy doing the job for. Because if you undercut yourself to such an extent that you don't really want to do the job because you're not being paid enough for it, then you won't enjoy it, and it was pointless trying to drum up that business in the first place. So do jobs for an amount of money that you're proud to work for, and an amount of money that guarantees that you won't lose motivation for that job halfway through it. If you can't figure that out, one of the things I do sometimes, used to do a lot when I was first starting out, is I'd ask a client for 3 different budgets. So they'd give me 3 different numbers, and I would then write a proposal for each of those numbers so that they could see what they'd get for spending X versus Y. And that would help them because it'd give them some options, but it would also help me because I'd then understand what they had to spend. Why do you photograph? I reckon the most satisfying thing in the world is making something. Having an end product to show for your effort, any kind of effort, is a really, really nice feeling. Pictures are my favourite example of this, just because you're documenting or capturing a moment that will never exist in exactly the same way ever again. And there's something quite nice about that. And pictures are pretty. So yeah, that's why I like to photograph. Should you ever compare the quality of your work with others? Yes and no. I use other people's work for inspiration and for ideas and to learn, but never ever compare your work to others as a barometer of your own success, because that will lead to much, much unhappiness. Not a good idea. We're all on different paths. There are some people who are terrible, who are earning loads and loads of money. There are some people who are really amazing, who are struggling for work. You just have to stay on your path, trust yourself, and don't compare yourself to others to try and work out how successful you are, because it's a recipe for disaster. How did you manage to be comfortable on camera when you started making videos? I'm not comfortable on camera at all. I get really nervous being on camera. The beauty of YouTube is that nobody sees this footage before I do. So if it's really, really horrific, I don't have to publish it, and the only consequence is that I've lost time in recording something that I'm not going to do anything with. So that's why I like YouTube. One tip I've had, I can't remember who told me it, but they basically said, imagine your camera is a really good mate and you're just talking to a really good mate, and I find that helps sometimes. But yeah, I'm definitely not a natural or comfortable person on camera at all. With photography, how do you go about trying to truly appreciate your surroundings? Do you find that photography increases your immersion in your surroundings? Yes. Photography, A, gets me out the house a lot more than I otherwise would, but B, when I'm out of the house, it helps me kind of look around at my surroundings a lot more, because I'm looking at the floor, I'm looking at the mountains, I'm looking at the sky, or I'm looking at the buildings in a city, because I'm, trying to find photos. So I find photography is responsible for me really kind of taking in everything that's around me, and I'm really grateful to it for that, and it's one of my favourite things about photography. Videography, on the other hand, and YouTube stuff, whenever I'm making a video, I take in my surroundings much less, because I'm running around trying to get B-roll, or I'm thinking about what shot I need next, what I have said, what I haven't yet said, am I tying the video together well, all of those kinds of things. So when I'm making videos, I find that I pay less attention to my surroundings, but photography is a huge, huge help, and I'm very grateful to photography for that. What would you be doing if it wasn't for photography? Probably writing. I wanted to be a journalist for a long time. I really like writing. Don't get much of a chance to do it at the moment. Maybe one day I'll get to write a blog. Who knows? I love the New Zealand videos. When is the next adventure? Thank you very much. If you're watching this video soon after it's put out, chances are I'm in Greenland or Iceland. And in a few weeks, Emily is coming with me on a trip to Australia. So loads of vlogs from that trip and the trips I'm on now. Not now, but when you're watching, you know what I mean. Most of your shots seem not to be during sunrise or sunset. Do you prefer the extra sleep or shooting in the most epic light? Landscape photographers particularly get really obsessed with light, and light is really, really important. Don't get me wrong, light is a big deal in photography, but I've seen plenty of boring photos that have great light, and to be honest, I find a story is more interesting than orange skies, and so that's what I typically look for. And sometimes I think really good light can be a bit of a turn off in an image, because they can just look a bit sort of postcardy or just typical, really. So yeah, light and certainly sunrise and sunset is not the first thing I search for when I'm thinking about locations or shots that I want to get. Favourite trick for a better photograph? Unusual focal lengths. So an unusual focal length, like a really long telephoto or a really wide lens, won't make a bad photo good. But if you have a quite good photo anyway, then using an unusual focal length can help kind of give it a bit of a zest, because it'll look slightly different to how your eyes see the world, and therefore it'll just potentially give it another element. So yeah, unusual focal length. If you could enhance a skill other than photography or videography, what would it be? Gratitude. I think I mope around the world sometimes, being annoyed that I'm so busy and that a certain person has annoyed me, or the weather's not good, or whatever it might be. Sometimes I'm just in a bad mood, and that definitely affects my photos and my videos. So if I paid more attention to what I was grateful for, I'd be happier, more upbeat, and I think that would have a positive impact on the rest of my life. So yeah, definitely gratitude. How do you keep track of all your pictures in the field? I always get home and spend too much time trying to figure out which are focus stacked, exposure compensated, etc. I can't see one, but pen and paper. So basically when you're out in the field and you've just focus stacked some images, for example, write down on a piece of paper, focus stacked, take a photo of that, and then put your photos in reverse chronological order when you get back to your computer, and you'll basically have a title for all your different types of shots. When you get back to your computer. So yeah, that's what I do. Hopefully that makes sense. Don't know if I've explained that well. So yeah, thank you so much for all of those questions. Some really good ones there. I tried to kind of whiz through them to get through as many as possible. So hopefully you didn't mind that strategy. In terms of best question and the winner of a T5, I am going to go with Stefan Wojcik. Sorry mate, that's probably a terrible pronunciation. But that was a great question about appreciating your surroundings and whether I do or not. Yeah, I really like that, and I don't think I've been asked that before. So yes, you will be receiving a T5. I'll get in touch to arrange how Samsung can send it to you. Also, lastly, this has been the final video in this flat. No more trains going past, no more echoey videos. I cannot wait to move out of here. It's going to be awesome. So thanks for sticking with me through all the problems that I've had filming in here. I really appreciate it. See you next time.